Yes, hello everyone. It's great to meet you here. I'm in London, and yeah, I'm really pleased to be joining this event today. And we can have some good conversation about the film The Medicine Buddha. So welcome.
Thank you, Benjamin. So first and foremost, we want to know what inspired you to make the documentary about Kamba Lama. He is a very, very unique figure in Mongolia. And how do you know about him and how do you come to make a documentary about him?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I had previously in a drama, actually, one of the characters, a film that I made um, called Traveller, which is a drama. One of the main characters was a Mongolian horseman, so I had to do some research into Mongolia, and I thought during that research, I thought what a fascinating culture, and it'd be amazing to visit, and it'd be even more amazing to make a film in the country. So that was back in sort of 2011 when I did Traveller, and then if you fast forward on, and I had done another feature documentary in Australia about a an Aboriginal elder, Uncle Max, Dylan Harrison. And after that film, I was then had an opportunity to do another film, as you know, I was approached by funders, people that wanted to fund a film. So it was really like looking at, okay, so what am I going to do next? And you know, with a documentary film, because I also, as I mentioned, work in drama, you know, I've got to have something that really grabs me, and something that is quite unique, and something where there hasn't been a long form film made on the subject before. So and I was, you know, researching that and looking at different stories, and then through a an associate of mine, he told me about Hamalama Nasa, and you know, first just from what he told me, I thought that he sounds very interesting, and then did, you know, some initial research, what I could online, but there wasn't that much really online. And then we reached out to him and sort of made a proposal, because of course he could have said no, I'm too busy, um, and because you need somebody to have, you know, a lot of time, being willing to put a lot of time into the filming process. But anyway, it all he said yes, he was interested, and then I arranged to go over and spend a week with him, starting to build a relationship. Before then, we came back later and shot the film.
Great. Now, we also know that the narrator for the documentary is Sir Ben Kingsley. That's very impressive. And then how did you manage to get him into the picture?
Well, you know, again, it was, I wanted someone that I thought could really, you know, add to it, and we looked at a few different people, but Seben, I'd actually met him at a film industry event at BAFTA, and we had a good chat. We share the same name, so that always helps. I always tend to get on with other people called Ben, and so we just basically, you know, approached his agent, and I'd read that he wasn't a practicing Buddhist, but he was very interested in Buddhism, and so we wrote to his agent and with a proposal, and they came back, said, you know, yes, he's interested. It kind of depends on dates, so on and so forth, and then we had to make the dates work. But yeah, so it was, you know, very we're very fortunate that we managed to get him.
Yeah, how amazing. Yeah. And then we saw in parts of the film, you were filming in a very cold environment. Was it winter? Because it was like New Year in
Yeah.
Mongolia. So it was super cold. And you were following the Lama around. He was traveling and you were pretty much living like a nomad with him. So how was it like, filming in such harsh conditions?
Yeah, it was a really amazing experience. That what you're talking about is the third part of the film where we go on the pilgrimage with him, And I mean, that's my favorite part of the film. It's also was the most kind of vivid part of the filming experience, because when we were in the city, we were staying in a nice hotel. Um, and anyway, we went out to the to his homeland, and you're right, it was actually moving, because we'd been there for the Lunar New Year, and it was it's kind of what they call, where it's kind of spring, the snow is melting, but it's still very cold and challenging. So we were really in the hands of the drivers, and also Lama's powerful prayers, because he was saying prayers for us as we were going along, because these, as you see in the film, the trucks had to kind of make their own way through the snow. There's not actual roads, it's just kind of rough tracks, and then there's snow and ice, and some of the snow is melting, so it's muddy as well. So it was a very challenging, but we were very blessed, and helped with Lama's powerful prayers. But it was amazing. The few nights that we had actually staying in the mountain Gers, I'll always remember. It was amazing, and we'd had a very long one day in particular, which we'd had almost a 23-hour day, I think, and when we went, because he'd met with his family members. There's a scene in the film where he's talking to these family members, and in a ger, and it's obviously late at night, and they share some meat, and then people left, and we all bedded down in the ger, and I'm sort of lying next to Lama, and but then there was sort of the family members were sort of standing watching us. So I'm like going, well, okay, I better have some sleep, and I fell asleep in the sleeping bag lying on the floor, and then I woke up about 4 hours later, and people were still standing there watching us. So that was quite funny. And then we did the whole scene that's in the film about the early morning waking up in the ger, and yeah, it was incredible. The temperature wise, the coldest we had was actually -35, and that was the scene which we've got at the start of the film, where you've got the holy mountain, and it was really cold. And I mean, Lama was incredible. I don't know how he did it. He was just in his monk's robes, and he's sitting there doing the praying. We had to have a vehicle obviously nearby, so then he could get into the vehicle between takes. And the other thing was, we used the drone, and the drone. We had a Mongolian camera assistant who was the drone pilot, and all the lights on the drone were flashing, basically saying, "Don't fly, don't fly, it's too cold." But we obviously wanted to get the shot, so he agreed that we would do it, and we were lucky we got the shots that we needed. But yeah, it was. I mean, for me, it was the coldest I've been in. I had like the thickest jacket with down, which was supposed to be okay for -50. I had a Mongolian hat, big hat all over my ears. I had gloves, I had scarves. It was, very, very cold. But actually, funny enough, I mean, not that particular temperature, but sort of you do get used to it. So I would, towards the end of the shoot, if it was sort of -20, I wouldn't necessarily need all that gear, for a short time. So we could get out of the car, do a bit of filming, and then get back in the car. So you do get used to it. But I think once it starts getting to sort of -30 and below, then you've got to have all the top gear on.
Wow, -20 and 30 sounds pretty intense. And the Mongolia
Yeah.
hat sounds very cool. Yeah, but it sounds like you had a lot of fun. And this particular section, when you go on the pilgrimage with the Lama, seems to have formed a very deep impression for you. And in particular, that I want to touch on this section where the Lama went back to his birthplace. Was it also during this time that you were telling us about? So during that scene, he was sharing his personal reflection, and he cried. So that was pretty intense. And would you like to share, for that scene, what was it like off screen, like when he was getting all emotional, and as for you as a director and for your crew as well, was it something difficult to manage, like or you just let the camera roll and let him express himself and all that? How was the whole thing like? Who would like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's as you rightly said, it's a very moving moment, and I mean, as filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, we're in a really privileged position because you go on a journey with your subject, and if they're open to it, then you peel back what I call peel back the layers of the onion, and this was a real moment. I mean, it's a complete contrast to some of the shots that we've got when Lama's in sort of official, Lama, what I say, official Lama mode in the monastery, or when he's the sort of chief doctor in the hospital, or he's the head of the university in the city. But this was a real, just natural moment. But there wasn't any, it wasn't like he sort of then it happened, and I could see it kind of building up, and it happened, and he was emotional, and obviously, when you see the film, there's an edit point, so we cut at that point. Obviously, in reality, the camera went on longer, but it wasn't. He didn't have like a complete sort of breakdown. It was just tears of emotion, of memories, and I'd by that point got a really close relationship with him, and so I think probably when I cut the camera, I went up to him, gave him a little sort of hug type of thing, and that was it. Then it was the next bit, which was, I think, was a bit more sort of joyful. So it was part of it, and it just sort of happened. But obviously, from a filmmaker's point of view, this is really good, because we see, as I said, especially in him, somebody who's got an official role, and then this is where he's really showing his humanity, like anyone else.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And we actually do have questions from the audience. And
Okay.
we have a very intimate crowd today. So if you have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and have an interaction with Benjamin if you like. I see a question from Cheng Hyok. Cheng Hyok, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question? Okay, or I should just read it out for you. So we have an audience, Cheng Hyok, would like to compliment Benjamin for a very inspiring film. And he would like to ask, do you have any works, any other works coming up next? Are you working on something else?
Sure.
At the moment?
Yes. Always, working on projects, developing things. And in terms of because I work in documentaries and drama, the next film I'm actually making is a drama, and that's in the Canary Islands, which is Spanish territory. And it's a film, it's really a survival film called Jump Out, about some young people, and they jump off a cliff, and then one gets injured, and then they have to kind of get help and survive the situation that they're in. So quite a different film. And on the documentary front, I have a film which I'm hoping to shoot next year in Cuba, which is a music-based documentary about some Afro-Cuban jazz musicians, and we go on a musical journey of significance with them around Cuba. So I'm really looking forward to making that film. So that's kind of my next two films.
Great. Also, I'm bringing you back to Medicine Buddha. What is your main takeaway for the audience? What would you like your audience to takeaway, for this film? What's the main message?
Yeah, well, good question. I mean, there's hopefully several things that they can take away, but for me, it's really um, people having an insight to through the story and journey that we go on with Hamalama Nasa Dorj. They get an insight into a unique culture, but also a unique person who sort of in this, age that we're in, and obviously we've just had the well, it's still not hasn't gone away yet, but the coronavirus pandemic, um, Lama really puts other people above himself, and he is on this kind of mission, as I see it, to help other people, and it's the people obviously day to day under his care, but also Mongolians and all humanity, and he's very giving. So perhaps we can all be more giving, really, and help our fellow human brothers and sisters. I think that's probably something to take away.
Great. Thank you so much. Would you have anything else that you would like to add on for our audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, there's lots of different experiences. I think the film is broken into 3 sections, so the audience can either watch it all together as a feature doc or can watch it in parts. As I've mentioned, my favorite part is the third part, but I think it's hopefully seeing all the aspects, like part 1 around Lunar New Year in Mongolia, which is quite different and certainly got some very interesting things happening. And then part 2 is kind of more factual about his life and work in the city with the at the university, the hospital, and the monastery. And then we go on the journey into the out to his homeland. So hopefully each one is kind of different, and there's things that people can learn. I think it's a film. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I made it, but quite a few people said to me, you can watch it several times, and because there's a lot to take in, and you can learn something, and especially as with the audience today and on your Facebook, people who are practicing Buddhists, then perhaps there's more that they can take from it than people who aren't, because they understand and they have a deeper level of interest. So hopefully it's a film that people can watch again and learn from and go back to if they want to. So yeah, I mean, I'm proud of the film. We had an amazing premiere in Mongolia, which was attended by 3 former presidents and lots of distinguished people, and that was in 2029, just before the pandemic. No, 2018. So that was the last time I was in Mongolia, and that was great. And we'd also had, it was also, you may have picked that up, but it was also, we won a big award in Mongolia, which was the Mongolian Academy Award. So it's their sort of version of the Oscars and or BAFTAs, and so we went over for that. That was an amazing experience. We were nominated, which was great, and then to actually win was even better. So following the film, we've had 2 sort of big events in Mongolia. There's been other premieres. We had a lovely premiere in London in a big cinema at Regent Street, and some other screenings around the UK. But it was great to win that award. And a sort of a little story about that was when with the with the awards, and it was televised, and so we came up on the stage, and they announced the winner. We came up on the stage, and I sort of had to do my speech, and they like to keep it short, obviously, all these things, but because we had to have a translator, it obviously took longer. So I would speak in English, and then the translator would translate. So that took longer, and then the one of the hosts came up to me and whispered in my ear, said, "Oh, can you finish now?" But I'd started handing it over to Hamalama, that's the George, and of course they weren't going to say to him, "Oh, you can't speak." So then he did his speech, and so I think we combined, we were by far the longest people talking as part of the award ceremony on the TV. But apparently it went down well with people because he is who he is. So that was interesting, and so yeah, so very, very lucky. And the film has been released in about 23 territories now, mainly online, streaming platforms. So that's great, and we're hoping that there'll be more territories, more places where the film is released, so then more people can see it.
Incredible. So that was very good tip, to be able to break the film into several parts and then to watch. And definitely, I think it's something worth rewatching again and again. There's a lot of content and it's so beautifully shot. And with your point about it being screened in Mongolia and winning an award, we have an audience that wanted to know what were the feedback from the Mongolian audience like? Would you know when it was screened there?
Yeah, so well, I mean, at the awards and at the premiere, yeah, it was very positive. People, said some very, very interesting things and some really good things. I mean, it's not just about getting lots of praise, but I think people were genuinely interested and excited to see more about this person in their culture, who's someone who's well known, but they haven't seen him do all these different things. So I think that was very positive. And some exciting news is that we've just got confirmation. It's taken some time, but some confirmation that the film will be released in Mongolia. I haven't got an exact date yet, but I think it'll be early next year through their sort of leading streaming platform. So that's really good that it actually will get a release in Mongolia.
Okay, great. Cheng Hyuk came back again and he said that he really, really enjoyed the narration. So well done on getting Sir Ben Kingsley on board. And obviously he's very well known and popular with the audience here. So once again, thank you for joining us today. And then to our audience, we hope you will rewatch the film again. Like Benjamin said, it's something that is worth going back again and again, and you can even split it into several parts and rewatch them because there's a lot of content going on, and it's good to go back and revive the entire film. So Benjamin, thank you. We don't want to hold you back for your lunch. It's about it was like 2 or 3 p.m. already. Yes, to our audience, thank you once again. We have a few other dialogues coming up for the next few days, all the way to Saturday. So we would really like you to join us. We are flashing on screen right now the schedule for the upcoming live dialogues. Please scan the QR code to log into the sessions. You can add the sessions into your calendar, and can join us for sessions on Friday, tomorrow, as well as Saturday. And thank you so much for your support, and thank you for believing in THIS BFF. We hope to see you again and continue to watch the screening on the online platform. Thank you so much. Thank you, Benjamin, and good night to everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.